Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are cracking open a file that, honestly, I've been both dreading and, well, dying to talk about.
Oh, absolutely. It's a heavy one.
It really is. For those of you listening, we are putting a very specific 47 minutes of television under the microscope today. We're talking about high tension. We're talking about the collision of two completely different worlds.
And a literal sunset that just, changes the entire trajectory of the series.
Yeah. So we're looking at Breaking Bad, specifically Season 3, Episode 6, the episode titled Sunset.
Right. And if you think about that title, Sunset, it sounds so peaceful, doesn't it?
Like a nature documentary or something.
Exactly, like a romantic drama. But if you know anything about this show, or if you just glanced at the outline we're working from today, it's anything but peaceful.
Not at all. I mean, this is the exact moment where the walls really start closing in on Walter White.
It's the definition of the anxiety attack genre of television.
Yes, perfect way to describe it.
And, for this deep dive, we're pulling from a really massive stack of sources. We've got production notes, plot summaries, casting details, and critical reception records.
Right, because we want to unpack how this specific episode serves as a hinge for the rest of the series. The mission today isn't just to recap. We want to figure out why Sunset works the way it does.
We're talking about the introduction of major new players here, specifically Gale Boetticher.
Oh, Gale.
And, of course, the massive escalation in that cat-and-mouse game between Walt and Hank Schrader.
And we definitely have to talk about the tone, because this episode was written and directed by John Shiban, and he somehow manages to blend this high-stakes thriller energy with legal loopholes and some really profound character studies.
It's a balancing act that, quite frankly, shouldn't work as well as it does.
It really shouldn't. So let's set the stage for everyone. Where do we find Walter White at the very beginning of this episode? Because visually and auditorily, we are just in a completely new universe.
We really are. He's settling into his new surroundings. And the production notes actually highlight a really specific piece of music used here to set the mood. It's a track called Ginza Samba by Vince Guaraldi and Bolasset.
Ginza Samba. Just saying it makes you feel like you should be holding a martini or something.
Yeah.
It's breezy. It's almost, pleasant.
Well, that's the point. It's professional. It's clean. This is the new superlab.
Right.
And it stands in such stark contrast to the dirty, sweaty, frantic energy of those early RV days. Walt is entering a world of corporate meth manufacturing, if you will. The stainless steel is gleaming. The equipment is state-of-the-art.
It's basically the difference between cooking in a dirty kitchen and a Michelin star restaurant. And with a new lab comes a new partner. Enter Gale Boetticher.
Played brilliantly by David Costabile. This is such a crucial introduction. Walt takes a liking to him almost immediately.
Which is incredibly rare for Walt. Usually he's judging absolutely everyone. He looks at people and just sees obstacles or idiots.
But think about what Gale represents. In the source material, it literally notes that Walt takes a liking to his new assistant. Because Gale is educated. He's polite. He's precise.
He makes that perfect cup of coffee using that insane vacuum brewing method.
Exactly. He is, in so many ways, the partner Walt has always actually wanted.
He's the anti-Jesse.
Precisely. And that contrast is completely intentional. You have Jesse Pinkman, who is chaotic, emotional, often messy, and constantly questioning Walt's authority.
Right, constantly pushing back.
And then you have Gale, who is essentially just a mirror for Walt's own intellectual vanity. He validates Walt's genius rather than challenging it. He looks at Walt with genuine reverence.
It's a narcissist's absolute dream, isn't it? Like, finally, someone who actually understands my genius.
Exactly. And it seduces Walt into thinking this is sustainable, that he can be a criminal professional without any of the mess. But while Walt is enjoying this Ginza Samba lifestyle with his new lab buddy, Jesse is, he's sliding right back into old habits, isn't he?
He is regression personified in this segment. The outline literally calls it Jesse's regression, and that feels so apt. He is back with his old crew, Badger and Skinny Pete.
The dynamic trio.
Yeah, but the vibe is completely different this time around. In previous seasons, them hanging out was kind of goofy, almost like a stoner comedy. But here, there is a real darkness underneath it.
It definitely feels heavier. Jesse is enlisting them to get back into the drug trade, to sell the meth. But there is a massive caveat attached to this new business plan. He explicitly promises them that they will not make the same mistakes that got Combo killed.
Oof. Combo. That name carries so much weight.
It does. It's the ghost haunting this entire subplot. You see, the friends Badger and Skinny Pete, they reluctantly agree, and that reluctance is key. It shows that the consequences of Season 2 are still very fresh for them.
They know people actually die in this game. They aren't naive anymore.
Exactly. And look at Jesse's headspace here. Why is he even doing this?
That is the big question.
It's complex. He's trying to be the bad guy. He's trying to wear the armor of a hardened drug lord. He's telling himself, I can do this. I can be the boss.
Right.
But he's doing it while explicitly referencing the trauma of losing his friend. He's trying to control the chaos by saying no mistakes, but he's dragging his friends back into the exact same fire that burned them before.
It feels like he's trying to rewrite history. It's like if he can just run this operation perfectly with Badger and Skinny Pete, maybe it somehow makes up for what happened to Combo.
That's a great point. It's a redemption attempt through repetition, which, psychologically speaking, is a disaster waiting to happen. You don't heal trauma by reenacting the traumatizing event.
No, you definitely do not. And speaking of disasters waiting to happen, let's pivot to the other side of the law. Let's talk about Hank Schrader.
Oh, Hank is on a complete warpath here.
The outline mentions that the investigation is tightening, and Hank isn't just stumbling around in the dark, he's actually connecting dots. Honestly, this is where we see just how good of a cop Hank really is.
It is. A lot of times, especially early on, viewers might mistake Hank for just the loudmouth brother-in-law or the comic relief. But here he is a genuine existential threat to Walt's entire enterprise. He's conducting active surveillance on Jesse.
Walk us through the detective work here. Why Jesse specifically?
Because of the connection to Combo, Hank has traced the logic perfectly. He knows the blue meth is out there. He traces it to the street dealers. One of those dealers was Combo. And Combo is dead.
Right, so he pulls on that thread.
Exactly. Hank digs into Combo's life. He finds out Combo's mother owned an RV that is now conveniently missing, and who was Combo best friends with? Jesse Pinkman.
That is just solid police work. It's a straight, undeniable line from the product to the dealer to the vehicle to the suspect.
He isn't guessing at all. He has followed the breadcrumbs from the dead dealer to the mother to the vehicle. And now he firmly believes that the RV, the mobile meth lab he's been hunting for basically 2 seasons, is in Jesse's possession.
And he's so close. He is literally sitting in his car outside Jesse's house. But then we get this moment of, what do we call it? Accidental betrayal.
That's a fantastic way to put it. And it involves Marie Schrader.
Right. She calls Hank while he's sitting on the stakeout.
She does. And it's just a normal, everyday domestic call, just checking in. But Hank is frustrated. He's hitting a brick wall. He can't get probable cause to go into the house. And Marie, just trying to be a supportive wife, gives him a piece of advice.
She suggests that Hank just ask Walt about Jesse.
Yes.
Yeah.
She brings up Walt's previous association with him. You have to remember the pot connection from way back in Season 1. Walt told Skyler and Marie that Jesse was his pot dealer to cover up his weird disappearances.
It was such a small lie at the time, a complete throwaway excuse.
And now it comes roaring back to bite him. To Marie, it's just an innocent thought. Hey, Walt bought pot from this kid once. Maybe he knows something about his habits or where he hangs out. To Hank, it's a complete light bulb moment.
Right.
Walt knows this kid.
So he takes the advice, he picks up his phone, and he calls Walt.
He does.
Man, can you imagine being on the other end of that phone? You're Walter White. You're in your gleaming high-tech lab, listening to Bossa Nova. You think you're completely safe. And your phone rings, and it's your DEA brother-in-law.
It's the ultimate nightmare scenario. Hank asks Walt, quite casually too, if he recalls Jesse owning an RV.
And Walt's reaction?
Instant alarm. The source material specifically notes his instant realization. He knows. He knows the net is closing right then and there. It's not just some vague suspicion anymore. Hank is asking about the exact vehicle that serves as their mobile lab.
The vehicle that still has bullet holes in the door.
The vehicle that reeks of meth.
And this realization kicks off the central crisis of the entire episode. Walt knows he has to destroy that evidence immediately. The Ginza Samba is officially over. It's pure panic time.
It is full panic mode. But before we get to the scramble, we actually have to talk about the other threat looming in the background. The threat that doesn't care about the law or evidence or search warrants.
The Cousins.
Marco and Lionel Salamanca.
Just saying their names makes me shudder. These guys are terrifying. They don't even speak. They just move together like sharks. And we find them at Las Palas Hermanas, right?
That's right. They're sitting in a booth.
Wow.
And the atmosphere described in the notes is that they are growing increasingly impatient and angry.
Imagine walking into a bright, cheerful, yellow and red fast food chicken restaurant, seeing families eating lunch, and then seeing these 2 guys in shiny suits just staring daggers at the counter.
It's a visual clash that Breaking Bad does so incredibly well. The utterly mundane versus the intensely lethal. They want Walt.
They want blood.
They're there to kill Walter White. They firmly believe he betrayed Tuco. And the only thing standing between Walt and a really gruesome death, likely an axe to the head right there in the booth, is the man serving the chicken.
Gus Fring.
Gus intervenes. He confronts them right there in the middle of the restaurant. And talk about tension. It's this incredible stalemate. You have the silent, chaotic violence of the Cousins up against the incredibly controlled corporate authority of Gus Fring.
And Gus manages to hold them off. How does he actually manage that?
He exerts his territory rights. He reminds them that north of the border, he is the one who calls the shots. But he also knows he can't hold back the cartel forever. So he makes them a promise. He tells them they will meet at sunset.
There's the title of the episode.
Exactly. This meeting at sunset is the promise that buys Walt another few hours of life, though Walt has absolutely no idea this is even happening. That's the grand irony of the episode. Walt thinks his biggest problem is a broken-down RV. He has no idea the Grim Reapers are eating curly fries just a few miles away.
It really highlights Gus's immense power, doesn't it? That he can look these two ruthless assassins dead in the eye and simply tell them to wait. He is managing these incredibly chaotic elements completely behind the scenes.
Absolutely. He is the ultimate middleman manager of the criminal underworld. But while Gus is handling the cartel, Walt is frantically trying to handle the RV. And this leads us to what the outline calls the junkyard dash.
This segment feels like where the dark comedy meets the anxiety. It's frantic. It's almost a farce in the classical sense.
It starts with the desperate scramble to Clovis.
Clovis is the repair guy, right? We've definitely seen him before.
Yes, played by Tom Quiche. Walt drives the RV to Clovis's lot. He's completely desperate. He basically says, take this thing, hide it, burn it, I don't care, just take it. But there's a massive problem.
The DEA is looking for it right now.
Exactly. And Clovis isn't stupid. He knows heat when he sees it. He tells Walt that the RV absolutely cannot stay at his repair lot. It's a sitting duck. If the cops come knocking, Clovis goes down with it.
So Clovis points them in a new direction.
He tells them about a guy named Old Joe.
Old Joe, truly one of the great side characters of the entire series.
Played by the legendary Larry Hankin. Clovis describes him as a junkyard owner who asks no questions. He has a massive vehicle crusher on site. He is ready to scrap the vehicle for straight cash.
Perfect. Problem solved, right? You just drive it to the junkyard, crush it into a little metal cube, walk away. The evidence is literally gone.
If only it were that simple. This is Breaking Bad, after all. We have to have the big communication breakdown.
It's always the communication. I swear, if these people just texted each other clearly, half the tension in the show wouldn't even exist.
True. But Badger is there at the repair lot, chatting with Clovis. And Badger, just trying to be helpful, trying to be a loyal lieutenant to Jesse, makes a phone call.
He calls Jesse.
He warns Jesse that Walt is taking the RV to get it crushed into scrap.
Now, let's pause here. Jesse does not know that Hank called Walt. He doesn't know the DEA is closing in on them.
No, not at all. All Jesse knows is that Walt has been distant, Walt has a fancy new lab partner, and now Walt is destroying the RV, which, let's remember, is half Jesse's property.
So Jesse logically thinks...
Jesse thinks Walt is actively betraying him. He thinks Walt is trying to completely erase him from the business.
So Jesse rushes to the junkyard.
He rushes there to stop Walt. He is totally enraged. He is driving recklessly across town. But he is completely unaware of one critical, tiny detail. Hank. Hank is still sitting right outside Jesse's house. He sees Jesse run out in a blind panic. He sees Jesse speed off. And Hank thinks, bingo, he's going straight to the RV.
So by rushing out to save the RV, Jesse is literally leading the lead DEA investigator directly to the smoking gun.
It creates this agonizing sequence where you, the viewer, know exactly what is happening, but the characters are all operating on partial information. It's a comedy of errors, but with completely lethal stakes.
It really is, and it all converges at Old Joe's junkyard.
Which brings us to segment 5, the climax, the RV standoff.
This scene, I mean, my heart rate goes up just thinking about it.
This is the exact moment the entire episode has been building toward. Walt arrives in the yard. He's paying Old Joe to scrap it. He's frantic. Do it now. Do it right now. Then Jesse arrives, screaming, furious. He starts yelling at Walt.
And Walt is just trying to shut him up. Shut up, listen to me.
And then, through the dusty, dirty window of the RV, they see it.
SUV.
Hank's SUV pulls right up.
And Walt realizes the sheer horror of the situation. He grabs Jesse, throws him into the RV, and they slam and lock the door.
Talk about claustrophobic. They are trapped in this metal box that smells like harsh chemicals, with bullet holes in the door covered by pieces of duct tape, and outside, Hank Schrader.
He knows they are in there.
He definitely does. He gets out, he starts banging on the metal door. Open up, DEA.
Imagine the terror for Walt in that moment. This isn't just some faceless cop trying to bust a dealer. This is his brother-in-law. This is the guy he has backyard barbecues with.
If that door opens, the show is effectively over. Walt is caught red-handed. Skyler finds out. Junior finds out. His entire life as a free man ends right there in that dirt lot.
And Hank is trying to force the door open with a crowbar or something, right? He's actively ripping off the duct tape over the bullet holes.
He sees the bullet holes. That just confirms it entirely for him. He knows without a doubt this is the right vehicle. He is mere inches away from the truth.
But then we get the twist. The legal loophole.
This is where old Joe steps in. And honestly, this is why this episode is so brilliant. It shifts abruptly from an action scene to a constitutional law debate.
Old Joe, the grimy, overall-wearing junkyard owner, starts quoting the law.
He does. He interrupts Hank mid-breach. He demands to see a warrant.
And Hank tries to big league him. I don't need a warrant. This is a vehicle. I have probable cause.
Which is usually true for cars. But old Joe argues that the RV is actually a domicile.
A private home.
Exactly. He argues that because it has living quarters, a bed, a kitchenette, it is legally a private residence. And under the Fourth Amendment, you cannot search a private domicile without a warrant signed by a judge.
That's incredibly specific knowledge for a junkyard owner to just have in his back pocket.
It is. But it makes perfect sense in context, right?
Yeah.
He probably deals with cops trying to search for stolen cars or parts all the time. He knows his rights inside and out. He essentially creates an invisible legal force field right around the RV.
And Hank knows he's right.
That's the crucial thing. Hank is a good, experienced cop. He knows the law. He knows that if he breaks that door down without a warrant, any lawyer, even a terrible one, will get all the evidence thrown out as fruit of the poisonous tree. He can't risk blowing the biggest case of his entire career on a procedural technicality.
So Hank has to stop.
He relents. He backs away from the door. But he doesn't leave the junkyard.
He calls the DEA office to get a warrant expedited.
He says, "Give me a judge. I'm sitting on it." He goes back to his SUV, sits on the hood, and waits.
Which buys them time. But they're still trapped. They're just sitting ducks inside a tin can in the blazing desert heat.
They are. And this leads to a really fascinating production insight from the sources.
Oh, definitely tell me about that.
According to the production notes, the writing team, led by John Shiban and Vince Gilligan, hit a massive wall right here. It took them almost 2 full weeks to figure out how to get Walt out of this RV situation.
2 weeks. Just staring at a whiteboard for this one scene.
Yes. They had completely written themselves into a corner. Walt is trapped. Hank is outside watching the only door. There is no back hatch. There is no escape tunnel. How do you get him out of there without Hank seeing him?
That's an absolute nightmare for a writer.
Vince Gilligan even revealed that they briefly considered a much darker path. They were so incredibly desperate for a solution.
What was it?
They legitimately considered having Walt kill Hank right there.
Whoa.
Just imagine that. Season 3. Walt opens the RV door and just shoots his brother-in-law.
Oh, that would have been... I mean, there's no coming back from that at all.
No. It changes the show from a complex tragedy to just a straight horror story immediately. Walt becomes totally irredeemable instantly.
And I think it speaks to the immense integrity of the writers that they didn't just go for the easy shock value to solve a plot hole. They waited. They sweated it out for 2 weeks until they found the smarter, better solution.
The unthinkable solution.
Exactly. So back inside the RV, Walt is desperate. He realizes there is no physical escape possible, so he has to go psychological.
He makes a phone call.
He calls Saul Goodman.
Saul is the ultimate fixer. Walt explains the dire situation. And Saul, incredibly quick on his feet, instructs his secretary, Francesca.
Played by Tina Parker.
Right. And this is where the moral line is truly permanently crossed. Francesca calls Hank on his personal cell phone.
She pretends to be a hospital administrator.
She acts frantic, out of breath.
Yeah.
She tells him that his wife, Marie, has been in a critical car accident, that she is being airlifted to the hospital right now.
It's so unbelievably cruel.
It's devastatingly effective. Think about Hank for a second. He's a tough guy. He's a hardened cop.
Mm-hmm.
But his soft spot, his only real vulnerable soft spot, is Marie.
He loves her.
The sheer panic overrides his police instincts immediately.
Yeah.
He doesn't verify the source. He doesn't call dispatch to confirm. He forgets the RV. He forgets Jesse. He forgets the impending warrant. He jumps in his car and drives recklessly to the hospital.
Because he's a human being. And Walt coldly uses that humanity against him.
That's the real tragedy of the scene. Walt knows Hank deeply loves Marie, and he uses that pure love as a lever to facilitate his own escape.
So Hank leaves, he speeds away, sirens blaring, and the coast is finally clear.
But we have to follow Hank's perspective here. He rushes to the hospital, he runs into the ER, breathless, absolutely terrified.
And what happens when he gets there?
It's completely calm. There's no emergency happening. He calls Marie's phone.
And she picks up.
She picks up. She's totally fine. She's just at home. She's confused why he's sounding so hysterical, asking if she's okay.
And the realization hits him.
The source material describes his reaction as shifting from pure panic to immense relief and then rapidly to being seething with anger.
He knows.
He knows. He knows it was a deliberate hoax. He knows someone played him. Someone used his deepest, darkest fear to get him to drive away from that junkyard.
And he knows he was right about the RV.
Exactly. The fact that someone went to those extreme illegal lengths proves that the RV was the real target. He was literally sitting on the answer, and they tricked him into abandoning it.
That anger that's going to fuel him for the rest of the season.
It permanently changes him. He's not just doing a police job anymore. Now it's deeply personal.
Meanwhile, back at the junkyard.
With Hank gone, there is zero time to waste.
The destruction.
Old Joe fires up the massive crusher.
The visual of this scene is just so powerful. The RV, the crystal ship.
It's a literal character in itself. It's been there since the pilot episode. It's where they cooked their very first batch. It's where they bonded. It's where they almost died a dozen times in the desert.
And we just watch it get violently flattened into a cube.
Walt and Jesse watch solemnly. The outline describes it almost like a funeral.
It really is. It marks the definitive end of their amateur phase.
The indie band phase is over.
Yes.
They're fully corporate now. The crystal ship is gone. There is no going back to the scrappy days in the desert.
That feels like such a huge, monumental turning point. But we still have one major loose thread. The cousins. The sunset.
Segment 7, the twist.
The episode isn't over yet. We cut to a remote, dusty location. The sun is actually setting. The cinematography here is beautiful. That classic, deep, orange New Mexico light.
Gus meets the cousins again, just as promised.
And he has to give them an answer. They still want Walt.
And Gus reiterates his stance. No killing Walt. Walt is essential for his business.
The cousins must be furious at this point. They've been waiting all day for this.
They are. They're ready to act right then. But Gus offers a pivot. He gives them a new target.
He reveals a massive secret.
He tells them who actually killed Tuco.
Up until now, the cousins and the whole cartel assumed it was Walt, or that Walt was directly responsible because of the desert drug deal gone wrong.
But Gus reveals the truth. It was Hank Schrader who pulled the trigger on Tuco Salamanca in that shootout back in Season 2.
Oh, wow.
He serves up Hank on a silver platter.
This is just masterful manipulation by Gus.
It's brilliant, cold-blooded strategy. Let's break it down. What does Gus actually achieve with this one move?
Well, first, he protects his most valuable asset.
Right. He keeps Walt alive, so the blue meth keeps flowing, and he keeps making millions of dollars.
Second, he satisfies the cousins.
He gives them their blood for blood. They get to avenge Tuco, so they don't turn their cartel's rage onto Gus himself.
And third,
he removes a major threat to himself. Who is the biggest threat to Gus's pristine operation right now? Hank Schrader. The guy investigating the blue meth. The guy who almost busted the mobile lab. By setting the cousins on Hank, Gus hopes they will effectively kill the DEA agent who is sniffing around his business.
It resolves the blood-for-blood demand of the cartel without losing a single dollar of profit.
And it leaves Gus's hands completely clean. If Hank dies, it's a cartel hit. It has absolutely nothing to do with a respectable fast food owner like Gus Fring.
That is heavy. It's 4D chess while everyone else is still playing checkers.
It really is a masterclass in villainy.
So, looking at the reception of this episode, people absolutely loved it, right?
Oh, it was universally acclaimed. This brings us to Segment 8, Critical Reception.
We have some great stats here.
Donna Bowman gave it an A. And she's a notoriously tough critic. She writes for the AV Club.
And Seth Amotin from IGN gave it a 9 out of 10. He specifically called it amazing.
He highly praised the intensity of the climax, and that's a really key point. He noted that despite no one being in direct physical danger until the very end, the tension was just unbearable.
That's so true. For most of the RV scene, they are literally just sitting in a box. But you as a viewer can't even breathe.
It's entirely psychological danger. Alan Sepinwall, another major TV critic, noted that the ending felt like old-school Breaking Bad.
In what way?
In the way that Walt and Jesse make a bad problem significantly worse by accidentally leading Hank right there and then find an ingenious, albeit deeply morally gray, way out of it.
Morally gray is putting it very lightly.
Very lightly. But it fits the DNA of the show perfectly. Intelligence plus immorality equals survival.
And the rankings totally back it up. The Ringer put it at 33rd out of all 62 episodes. Vulture ranked it 41st.
Which, for a show where almost every single episode is considered a masterpiece, is a very solid mid-tier ranking. It's a pivotal episode that perfectly sets up the explosion of the season finale.
And viewership was up too. 1.64 million viewers, which is a solid increase from the previous episode.
People were definitely tuning in. The word of mouth was really building. This was the season where the show genuinely started to cross over from a cult hit to a massive cultural phenomenon.
So let's wrap this up for everyone listening. What are the key takeaways you should remember from Sunset?
I think there are four main pillars to remember here.
First, the contrast.
The introduction of Gale and the Ginza Samba superlab versus the tragic regression of Jesse and the dirty street dealing. The clean versus the dirty.
Second, the destruction of the RV.
The end of an era. The physical destruction of their criminal roots. They are no longer independent contractors. They are now fully owned employees.
Third, the moral line.
Using Marie to manipulate Hank. That is a psychological wound that will never heal. It saves Walt today, but it destroys the fundamental trust forever. It's the definitive moment Walt chooses his own survival over his family's sanity.
And finally, the target shift.
The crosshairs moving directly from Walter White to Hank Schrader, the cousins have a brand new mission.
It really is a pivotal 47 minutes of television.
It changes absolutely everything going forward.
I want to leave you, the listeners, with that provocative thought we touched on earlier. The writers actually considered having Walt kill Hank in that junkyard.
It's a really haunting what if.
If that had happened, would Walter White have fully become Heisenberg right then and there? Or would he have collapsed under the weight of the guilt immediately?
It's the ultimate question of whether he was already a monster protecting himself or just a desperate man trying to hide. Killing family, that's a bell you simply cannot unring.
A bell you can't unring. Just like that RV being crushed into a cube, it's gone, and there's absolutely no going back.
No going back at all.
So think about that sunset. Is it just the end of the day, or is it the end of the light for these characters? Thanks for diving deep with us.
Until next time.
See you then.